Hi everyone, it's me again. Nice to see all of you here. And today we will be focusing on discussion about eye health and gut health based on our TrueYou DNA test. So as usual, before we get into the main point, I would just like to briefly explain to any new friends, new guests, new member here, what is DNA profiling test and a brief history about it. Basically, DNA profiling is a process that help us to determine an individual's DNA characteristic, that we know what is the sequence of this DNA. Different sequence will give us different genes, different gene variants. So to put it simple, a DNA test help us to review our genetic makeups. By understanding our genetics, the genetic makeup in a person, then we will know discover a lot of secret about a person, not just about the risk, health risk. It also helps you to understand how you respond to different food, probably different external factors, physical exercises, your recovery, whether or not you can tolerate certain food groups, and also even about how you manage your stress and many more. So basically it's all about you, right? But there is this before this DNA profiling test becomes something very popular, or I would say more easily available to consumer like us. The history has to date back to 1980s, where DNA profiling test is used as a technology that allows we allows the police, maybe the police or the investigator, to identify an individual, okay, by checking the DNA material. So this is actually a forensic technique in criminal investigation, and it's used to compare the criminal suspect's profile to DNA evidence, so we can know whether or not a person is involved in a crime. So from there, this technique has evolved and more widely used, also included in a lot of legal issues, legal matter. Okay, for example, parentage test is a good example, where people need this type of supporting evidence to establish immigration eligibility or eligibility to inherit something from parents, great grandparents who has passed away. So this is more on legal matters, and it's advancing, okay, being used in more areas. It's also being used in a lot of medical researches, in clinical field, used by the doctors to rule out diseases, in probably fertility type of treatment, okay, people who would like to have test tube babies. All these also are helped by DNA profiling tests, and not just for human actually, because animals, plant, all living things, we have DNA makeup. So all these investigators or doctors, researchers, they also use DNA profiling tests to study zoology, botany, and agriculture. So now it has evolved that it's become more popular. Even like us consumer, we do not need to go through the hospital to get the test. So this type of test is what we call the direct to consumer DNA test, and it is what you can do with TrueYou DNA. So DNA profiling test, particularly direct consumer type, has been quite popular in the US and UK for the past 10 years. And recently, these few years, it's blooming in Asian region. This is where we see the greatest growth, but it was estimated that by the year of 2026, this is going to be something global, because about 25% of the global population, 1/4 of the world population, would have done a genetic test. because it will eventually become something important. It provides us information about our health, our disease risk, and other traits. Okay, but that means we know from the genetic level some of the risk level, so we can take precaution before something happens. It helps us to further lower down this type of risk. Okay, it also helps us to become more proactive about our health, rather than waiting for problems to happen. Then only we go deep in to understand more, to try to cure it. But with DNA profiling tests, we're not being passive, we are being proactive to take preventive measure. And this preventive measure is very personalized, is very precise, because it's based on your gene result, based on understanding your gene variant. That is something suitable for you and only you. Okay, so that's why it will eventually become something important, because we all need precision preventive healthcare. Okay, not guessing game, not a one size fit all recommendation anymore. Okay, because we are born different, we cannot apply the same type of advice or the same type of recommendation for everybody. So with TrueYou DNA test, we have about 11 different categories. We look into different areas like our diet, vitamins, physical health risk. We have discussed all this in the previous session, sleep as well, mental health as well, so immunity as well, stress as well. So today we will be looking into gut health, okay, and eye health, right? These two categories. So again, a reminder for all the current members and introduction to new members. If you have done your TrueYou test or you plan to do it, your journey with TrueYou doesn't just end at getting your report. Okay, because the result is not the most important things. Most importantly, you need to understand your result. You need to understand the recommendation given to you in the report, and you take action accordingly. Because the purpose of having this DNA test is not just to review about yourself, but this revelation help you to improve your life, okay, in many aspects, not just your health, probably also about your career, your lifestyle, your habit. So it's something that is long term. So most importantly, you follow through these result, recommendation, and action should be something long term. And hopefully this will help you to live your life to the fullest, lower all the risks, and optimize the health, optimize your potential. So what is so important about the eye and gut categories? First of all, for the eye part, it helps us to do early prevention. So it could help us to prevent either early onset or late onset of eye problem. But a lot of eye problems begin in older age, right? But it doesn't mean that everybody gets old, that we will have eye problem. We expect to have one. If we take good care of it, we may not even experience that, okay? And given that we are living in this tech high, I would say highly dependent on devices, electronic devices, it may cause many eye problem to kickstart much earlier than we expected. So with these DNA tests, hopefully it gives us an early warning, okay, and reminder so that we can take early precaution. And then we will know how to invest into the right supplements, okay, especially for our eyes. And then by knowing our gut health, actually, we also know sometimes our gut health is not just about the food we eat. It could be the stress that has caused it. So again, it helps you to look at your problem from a different perspective. Okay, and finally, of course, diet modification if you want healthier eyesight and a healthier digestive system. So in these two categories, mostly we are looking at risk. Okay, this is how the report help you to understand by giving you this genetic indicator. Particularly these two categories, we mostly look at risk. If you are on the red or orange zone, that means you have increased risk of certain problems, or you may not have a very good response to a certain thing. Okay, so you need to be extra careful. If you're on the green side, that means you are of low risk. You just need to go on with general recommended healthy lifestyle, then you should be good. If you are in the normal category, that means you are like most of the people, okay? Not exceptionally good in this, but also not that bad. So probably you need to take some precaution, okay? But other than that, it's not a huge problem. So let's dive into the first category today, which is eye health. So the first parameter in the eye health is sight degeneration with age. Okay, sight degeneration means your vision becomes poorer as you become older. This could be something determined by the gene. And on top of that, let's not forget genetic factor is one of the many factors that can affect us. Okay, but the genetic factor is the first factor, right? It's in with us. Now, together with external factor, exposure to screens, blue lights, UV lights, all of these can cause degeneration of the eyesight. So based on genetic level, if this report shows you have faster decline, okay, on the right hand side, then you need to take extra care, because according to your genetics, you are more likely to have eyesight degeneration. That means losing your vision eventually when you age. So this is a slow and long process. You may not know it now. You may not even have short-sightedness, long-sightedness, and you would expect you have great vision as you age. It's not the case. So if you have high risk, then you need to take some precaution. If you have normal risk also, you need to take this precaution. That is to reduce exposure to blue light from screen. So if we all are so dependent now because of the pandemic, we can't get off from the screen, then maybe you need blue light filtering lens or specs. And on top of that, you want to invest in some eye health supplements. Okay, for example, vitamin A are very important. It prevents night blindness. That means at night your vision tends to be lower or poorer. That could be insufficient of vitamin A, and insufficient or deficiency of vitamin A can also cause dry eye problem. Okay, so all these are related to vitamin A's. So you may want to eat more food that is rich in vitamin A, lycopene, okay? These are all antioxidant. When we talk about eye health, we all want antioxidant, okay? So vitamin A, lycopene are antioxidant that focuses for the eyes. And also there are other antioxidants which belongs to the carotenoid family, like lutein and zeaxanthin, astaxanthin. All of these are pigments, okay? They are natural pigments, but they can form a filter layer inside our eyes to reduce the penetration of blue light causing harm to the eye cells. All right, so if you have high risk, definitely look for these type of supplements or foods that are rich in this type of nutrients. For vitamin A or lycopene, you can look for food that are red and orange in color, and some dark green leafy vegetables are also great source of vitamin A, lycopene, and lutein and zeaxanthin. Okay, but of course you want very high concentration. of course, supplement can give you that. The problem with people nowadays is we know the food are good, we know the food are healthy, but some people, they are just lazy to prepare, to even cut the fruits and eat, or lazy or dislike vegetables. That is the biggest problem. Okay. Other than that, we also have antioxidants from green teas, which are really good for the eyes. So if you are always working in front of the computer, probably prepare a cup of green tea with you. Okay, it's a good way to supplement with antioxidant that is good for the eye. Okay, red grapes, especially the skin parts. Okay, mulberries, peanuts, zinc. Zinc is also good for the eye, especially when you pair with lutein and zeaxanthin. Okay, so that is the first section the first parameter you want to understand. So if you're on the green side, then congratulations, all right? You have really good eyesight, but that doesn't mean that you can stare at the screen for 9 hours with no rest. Okay, still you need to get proper rest. It's just that you are less likely to have this problem. People with normal eyesight, people with normal risk in these parameters, I would highly encourage you to also get a blue ray filtering lens in your daily life, and try your best to get food that I mentioned just now. If you're on the red zone, definitely add on supplements. For cataract risk, so cataract is formed when, especially our eye lens is the first part of the eyeball, when it comes into contact with UV lights and cause damages, cause inflammation, that it will form some cloudy white patches in the eye lens. So that block the vision. Sometimes when it's very severe, it can cause blindness in people. So to reduce this risk, okay, if you are normal risk, congratulations. But if you are of high risk, then you should take some precaution. I bet everybody knows sunglasses is important if you are staying outdoor under very hot sun. So that is one. But if you have increased risk, okay, then you have to take some supplements that could protect your eye. For example, omega-3, EPA, and DHA is not just for the heart, it's also for your retina, for your eye. Okay, your eye part is also made up with fat, and this fat here is actually EPA and DHA. Okay, and then you may also want to look for antioxidant, as usual, vitamin A and vitamin C, okay, to help with reducing this cataract problem. And also vitamin Bs. We have B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, B12. All these Bs are also important for the eye. So I would say if you're eating a well-balanced diet, your vitamin B shouldn't be a problem, unless you're avoiding certain food, like you don't like whole grains and then you don't eat seafood, then probably you need to look into this vitamin B very, very carefully. And if you do not get a very balanced diet, get some supplements again, okay? So, and a reminder I would say is, if you feel like your vision is abnormal, that means you feel like it's not as clear as last time, or you don't feel comfortable, please go for a check, because I believe we all agree that if we discover a problem at the early stage, then the likeliness of it being treated or fully recover is more likely, it's of higher chance, rather than you wait until it's more severe, then you try to cure it or get treatment, then it's too late. So the reason why we have this DNA test, it's not to tell you that you are definitely getting this problem. Okay, no. Even if it shows you increased risk or high risk, it doesn't mean that you'll definitely get it, but it's giving you a reminder and tell you that in fact you do have this increased risk, but if you know what precaution measure you can take, then you may prevent, delay, or even stop it from happening. Okay, so I hope our new friends or new guests will understand the differences between knowing the risk and being diagnosed. If you are being diagnosed by the doctor, then yes, you already have the problem. But if we're looking at the risk here, it's not a diagnosis, but it's helping you to understand that from the genetic level, you have this increased risk compared to the rest of the population. But again, we are here, the report is here to actually help you to lower the risk, okay? So the third problem about the eye, very common, is open angle glaucoma. So this open angle glaucoma problem is very closely related to blood pressure. Actually, inside our eyes, we have a lot of small vessels as well. So sometimes when we have headache, it's not about the head, it's about the eye, that the pressure inside the eye is too high. It can cause headache in our head. It's not really the eye, but sorry, it's not really the head, but it's actually the eye that causes the pain. So if you have high risk for open angle glaucoma, you first definitely you need to manage your blood pressure very well, okay? And then you need to make sure blood pressure is very much related to the balance of the water in the body, okay? So keeping yourself hydrated, the common advice for healthy heart, like salt intake, get enough of magnesium and potassium. This is good to help with our blood pressure management. Aerobic exercise, it helps the blood flow better. Okay, so these are the general one where everyone should practice, okay, regardless of your risk. If you have increased risk, then please add on nitric oxide into your diet. Okay, we can find nitric oxide from food, definitely, like beetroot, leafy greens, garlic. These are good sources of nitric oxide. But if you really want to look for a very concentrated, very immediate source of nitric oxide, there are also supplements out there, for example, LX Young, because why again it's important. Nitric oxide, when it enters the body, it helps the blood vessel to relax and dilate. Basically, why do we have blood pressure, high blood pressure, is because our muscle, the vessel wall is very stiff, so it couldn't dilate, couldn't relax. So when it's very stiff and your blood could not be pumped easily, the pressure build up inside. So if you have nitric oxide, it helps your blood vessel to relax, your blood can flow very well, then yes, your blood pressure will be very well managed, okay? And blood flow is important to deliver nutrients. Your eyes also need nutrients. Your eyes also need oxygen. If your blood flow is bad, your eyesight will be bad. Your eye will have a lot of problem too, okay? And then on top of that, other food includes green tea. Okay, like I said, green tea has something very good, a type of antioxidant that's very good for the eye, okay? So if you have increased risk, definitely go for supplements for nitric oxide, drink some green tea, eat food that is rich in nitric oxide, and reduce caffeine consumption. Especially, you also have another parameters that show probably you are sensitive to caffeine, then probably you want to reduce the consumption of caffeine too, okay? Because some people, they may be very sensitive that it affects their blood pressure, okay? So if you have normal risk or you have low risk, then congratulations. But again, like I said, even if you have normal, you should still take care or manage your blood pressure, all right? So beta carotene conversion. So why is this related to the eye? Beta carotene is a type of vitamin A derivative, but beta carotene can be converted to vitamin A. And in the beginning, I already told you vitamin A is very important for the eyes. People who do not get enough, they will have dry eye, they will have rough skin. Even our respiratory system will be vulnerable because it also keeps a healthy lining of the respiratory system. So if you have this result as this decreased conversion, that means with this gene, you convert lesser beta carotene to become vitamin A, about 20 to 30% lesser than normal people, than most of the people, okay, with a different gene variant from you. So if you have lower conversion, that means it may increase the likelihood that you do not get enough for your eyes. So the advice is look for more food that is rich in beta carotene. There are two types. From animal, we call it retinoid. Retinoid is rich in food like shrimp. Basically, if you can see yellowish, orangey, reddish kind of food, shrimp. Egg, especially in egg yolks, okay, it's orangey yellow in color. Salmon, again, is reddish orangey in color. These are good source of retinoid, beta carotene, okay, it's orangey or red color. If you are vegetarian, maybe you cannot take retinoid from these animal sources, but you can take carotenoid from plant, like sweet potatoes, okay, carrots, and green leafy like spinach. All these are sources of beta carotene, okay? So be careful, especially if you know that, oh, I actually seldom eat this food. You then need to eat more if you have increased risk. In this case, is your conversion is lesser than other people. So if you have decreased conversion of beta carotene, you need to increase the intake of vitamin A's in the form of beta carotene, okay, like all the food that I've mentioned earlier. So the last parameter for the eye health is vitamin B deficiency. So just that I did mention, vitamin B is also important for the eye. And like I say, if you generally eat a very balanced diet, you do not need to be too worried about it, okay? But if you have the tendency to skip certain food, like you don't eat seafood, you seldom eat seafood, you don't like to eat whole grains, you seldom eat whole grains, and your diet is not very diverse, okay, different vegetables, different grains, different protein sources, then you may want to look into vitamin supplements, okay? If you, in this case, have increased deficiency, also it's wise to get some supplements for vitamin B, okay? So why is vitamin B important? Okay, vitamin B can help to reduce oxidative stress. Basically, the eye problem begins because of oxidative stress. When free radicals develop, free radicals can damage the cells. When too much free radicals doing the damage, they will cause something as we call it as oxidative stress. It's not the stress we feel, but the stress that is caused by too much of damages from free radicals. And if this type of damages is not controlled, it will eventually turn into inflammation. So vitamin B has this function to reduce oxidative stress, and it reduces homocysteine level. Our body will break down animal protein, okay, into homocysteine. These things may accumulate in the body. If the level is too high, it can work like oxidative stress to cause degeneration or breakdown of the tissue in our cell. So vitamin B is here to reduce these damages from oxidative stress and homocysteine. Okay, so besides that, vitamin B is important to regulate gene expression. Gene expression means, okay, not every time something in the gene will be expressed out. Okay, like I said, if you have high risk, it doesn't mean that it will definitely happen. But if the gene is being triggered, stimulated, and expressed out, then yes, the problem will show up, okay? Or the trait will show up. So vitamin B is important to regulate this type of expression, okay? To silence the gene or to call out the gene, to awaken the gene, right? So of all these vitamins, we have B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, B12. Actually, vitamin B2 is important to reduce oxidative stress build up in the eyes. So it also helps us to recycle a very important strong antioxidant in the body called glutathione. So if it helps to recycle them, that means we are not wasting this very strong antioxidant. We can reuse it again to protect the cell. Okay, and food that can provide us glutathione increase, glutathione sources, okay, good sources from the food includes beef, soybean, spinach, and beetroots. Okay, and then we go into gut health. So when we talk about the gut system, it begins in the mouth and end at where we defecate. Okay, so first parameter, we look into gluten intolerance risk. I'm not sure if everyone has heard about gluten. Gluten is not something harmful. Okay, again, it depends on how you react to certain things. All the food can be good if you eat in moderation, but some very healthy food can be damaging to some people. So gluten is actually a type of amino acid, okay, part of a protein. Okay, protein supposedly it shouldn't cause any problem, but people who could not tolerate gluten, then gluten is something not good for them. Okay, so where is gluten found? It's found in the protein part of wheat, barley, or rye. So wheat is a staple food for many of us. As long as you consume anything that is made with flour, like biscuit, bread, cookies, pasta, all this has gluten inside. Okay, if you have a result showing maybe mild risk, we have a different level of red zone here. Mild risk, okay, slightly increased, or high risk. High risk means you are at the highest risk of all compared to other people. So then you may want to limit your gluten intake. Okay, what gluten did to the gut is it will, when you eat gluten and your body could not metabolize it well, then this gluten will attack the lining of your gut. That means the wall of your intestine. This attack can cause inflammation because basically your gut cell is hurt. So people may start experiencing bloating, gassy stomach, loose stool, diarrhea, pain in the stomach, and in the long term, when the damages is too serious, it can cause malnutrition in people. Whatever you eat cannot be absorbed because the lining has been severely damaged. Okay, so if your result is mild risk, okay, not the worst one, but a little bit, you may not even feel the effect if you eat gluten, okay, because it's just mild risk. But if you do experience some of the symptoms that I mentioned, probably on and off constipation, loose stool, bloating, recurrence of bloating, then probably you may want to limit, not totally avoid because it's mild risk, you can eat, but limit the consumption, okay, and see if it helps you. So you may want to reduce drinking, eating bread, cakes, cereals, cookies, and actually beers, okay, because it contains barley. So you may want to reduce drinking beer. Some of the fast food like hot dogs, French fries, they may also put some flour inside, right? So all these things you want to reduce. The best way is to reduce processed food, okay? Pasta, maybe you need to go for rice noodles rather than pasta. Eating rice is fine, okay? So you may want to limit, and on top of that, you want to add on supplements, okay, that is rich in glutamine. Glutamine is a type of amino acid, but it is amino acid that is good to maintain the intestine mucosa growth. That means the inner layer, the wall of your intestine. it helps to maintain the growth, helps to preserve the function of your small intestine. Okay, doing something opposite to the gluten, if you are intolerant to that, help you to build a healthy bowel. Okay, to put it simple. So where can we find glutamine? Spirulina, okay, is a good one. Bone broth is a good one. Meat are also source of glutamine, but compared to plant-based food like spirulina, the absorption and utilization may be lower. So if you can maybe go for plant-based like spirulina, asparagus, this type of plant glutamine. Okay, and then if you do experience problem, then take more glutamine. Wait until your gut is healed. Limit gluten food. Once your gut is healed, you can add in fermentable food. That means food that has been fermented, like kimchi, probiotics, okay? Probiotic supplements, all these will help you to maintain an even healthier gut. If your result is increased risk, okay, then on top of what I've suggested, avoid gluten food, get more glutamine from spirulina, then avoid food that can cause inflammation, food that is high in histamine, like alcohol. You may want to avoid soy product if you have increased risk, not mild risk, yeah, increased risk. If you do realize, you can observe yourself, does tomato or spinach cause problem to you? If yes, you may also want to remove this food. Okay, so this is something you need to try and observe which food is causing you problem. Remove those on top of gluten. Okay, if you have a high risk, you need to do all the things that I've told you. Okay, and what you need to do is not just to limit, but highly recommend you to avoid gluten. Okay, avoid gluten by all means. Okay, so again, if you did not know that you have increased risk and your favorite food are food like pizza, bread, pasta, in long term you may trigger and this problem will express out. Okay, so by knowing it earlier, you know how to manage your diet, you can very much lower the risk. All right, so again, this is to tell you that bread, biscuit, pasta is not bad, it's not bad food, but in terms of your body, you could not tolerate gluten. Okay, so I do not believe in one single superfood that is good for everybody, or one single food that is super bad for everybody. So it's all depending on how you respond to the food, and knowing your gene helps you to understand better. The next parameter is gut irritability risk. So the irritability here means how likely will you experience inflammation in the gut. Okay, so if you have increased risk, that means you are more likely to have problems because of the inflammation in the gut that cause you many symptoms and gut disorder like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. People with IBS, they may always have bloating stomach pain, alternate of constipation and diarrhea. Just without any good reason, you always feel uncomfortable in your stomach. That is IBS. Okay, some people, because of inflammation, they will have leaky gut, like what I've slightly explained to you. You have something that is not right for your intestine, and those food or substances will attack your gut, causing your gut to have holes. So you have leaky gut. So whatever you eat may enter directly into the bloodstream, causing a lot of problem. Okay, so some people with high risk in gut irritability issues, they may also have autoimmune issues. Okay, autoimmune issues, your own body immune cell is attacking your own normal cell, not bad cell, but because of this problem, inflammation, and because of your gene problem, the immune cell starting to attack the normal cell, so causing a lot of health issues. Okay, some people with these gut irritable issues may also affect the cholesterol level in the body, causing them to have higher cholesterol level. So if you have high risk here or increased risk here, you need to take care of your food intake for sure. Okay, let's discuss the food part first. So for our gut cell actually need energy also, but inside our gut, actually they prefer the energy coming from short chain fatty acid. So short chain fatty acid, you may have not heard about it because it is not something essential. Something essential means our body cannot make. Short chain fatty acid, our body can make it, but you need to give them the raw material, which is fermentable fiber. Fiber that can be fermented when it reaches our large bowel. So that's why we say eat a lot of food that's high in fiber is good, not just because it helps you to poo, but this fiber, some of this fiber can be fermented in the bowel by the bacteria. When they fermented this fiber, the bacteria will form a lot of short chain fatty acid. These are the food for the gut cell. The gut cells need these to function. So if you eat a lot of fiber, not just your bowel movement is good, but your gut is healthier. So now you get the idea. That's why if you have this increased risk here, definitely, again, make sure you get enough fiber, okay? And then reduce intake of sugar, refined carbohydrates, because if you take a lot of refined carbohydrates and very low in fiber, you are feeding bacteria in the gut. But bacteria, they are good and bad bacteria, right? If you do not give them good fiber, then probably you feed a lot of sugar to the bad bacteria, and that will cause your gut cell to respond less, become lazier. They don't get good energy, but all the energy are provided to the bad bacteria. They love sugar, right? So this is a trend. People who didn't or do not like to eat fiber, more higher chances they are eating a lot of refined carbohydrates too. So we want to do the reverse. So again, regardless of whether or not you have increased risk or low risk or normal risk, we all should reduce sugar consumption, increase fiber intake, okay? And then, like just now, take glutamine, either from spirulina supplement, or you can get it from food like beans, spinach, asparagus, bone broth are good. Okay, so all these food contain glutamine that helps us to maintain a healthy intestinal lining. It helps the growth of these intestinal tissues. It helps to maintain the function of the gut. Okay, if you have slight risk, okay, maybe at the orange zone, other than glutamine supplements, okay, and increase the intake of food that is high in glutamine, you want to introduce fermentable food and probiotics into your diet, okay, once the symptom go away. If you still have very bad symptom, let it heal first. After healing, start adding fermentable foods, okay, like kimchi is a fermentable food. If you drink those what you call that, sorry, what is that drink? Yogurt drink, sorry, yogurt drink, even yogurt food, and a lot of Japanese food like natto beans, I think they call it, or what is more closer to us, tempeh. Actually, all these are fermented food. They are good for your gut, okay? And then if you have increased risk or slight increased risk, one more thing, avoid high histamine food. Like I said, alcohol, soy product. Observe and see if tomato and spinach gives you problem. If they are giving you problem, you avoid. But alcohol, highly recommend avoid them, okay? For those of you with the highest risk, that is increased risk at the red side, the left hand side, the end of the left hand side, other than all the things that I've mentioned above, also check and see if this food gives you problem. If it does, avoid them. Dairy products, that means cow's milk, okay? Vegetables and processed oil, not vegetable oil, vegetable oil. Why? Because actually a lot of cooking oil out there, they are highly processed. Even though it says it's vegetable oil, yeah. Palm oil is also a type of plant-based oil, right? What else? Sunflower seeds oil is also a plant-based oil, but depending on what type of processes they have done to the oil, highly processed oil can cause inflammation if we eat too much of it. Plus, if you use it for frying, that make it worse. Okay, so if you have increased risk, probably choose unrefined oil, not the highly processed oil, but unrefined oil, and then use it for drizzling rather than high heat cooking, okay? And then also identify if you have medication like painkiller, antibiotics, because all these may also increase problem for your gut if you have gut irritability, okay? And then other than that, look into your stress, your sleep, any pollution factors around you, maybe the water, okay? And be careful eating raw food like sushi, raw meats. So for those of you have the red N as your result, look into this area, okay? The food that probably trigger you, medication that probably triggers that, your sleep, stress, raw meat, pollution, okay? The third parameter of the gut's category is gum health. Like I said, actually digestion starts in the mouth. So gum is important. If you have high risk here, that means very likely you get severe gum infection. Okay, gum infection, if it's too serious, it can cause tooth loss or other health complication. Actually, the mouth hygiene or the gum health is related to the heart health as well. They are very closely related. So it could cause other health complications. So if you have increased risk, reduce inflammatory food, like I say, sugar, refined cooking oils, refined grains, okay? That means the white flour, any food that is made with white flour, those are highly processed or highly refined grains. Additive, sweeteners, MSG, food coloring, aspartame, that is artificial sugar, all these are found in processed food. So reduce consumption of processed food. Take in more anti-inflammatory food, okay? Your fruits and vegetables are the best. And some of the vitamins and minerals, if you have increased risk, you may want to look into this, okay? Vitamin C, vitamin A, they are good antioxidant, right? And then there are two types of minerals that may be helpful. Manganese. Manganese is a mineral that is good for connective tissue. So basically connective tissues are tissues that, like its name, connect one tissue to another, right? Connect cells to cells. So gum health is really important. If the connection tissue is poor, then our gum will be more likely to get hurt, right? So manganese is important. It is also important for bone. Our teeth is part of the bone, right? Copper is another mineral, good for the bone, good for blood vessels. So it's together with manganese, they are also very important for the mouth. And then other than that, other derivative of vitamin A, retinol and carotenoid, I've mentioned earlier in the eye section. These are all antioxidant, not just for the eye, but also for the gum. So vitamin C, vitamin A, retinol, carotenoid, manganese, copper, these are very good for your gum. Okay, if you have normal risk or low risk, maybe you do not need these extra supplements, but take good care of your hygiene. Brush your teeth twice a day, go for dental checkup Okay, these are the basic things we all need to do. It doesn't mean that you have low risk, you don't need to take care. You still need to take care. Okay, and second last is stress affecting gut health. So sometimes, like I mentioned in the beginning of the sharing, some people, they often experience gut problem, indigestion, bloating, acid reflux. It's not about the food they eat, it's more about their lifestyle. So when you get stressed, it can affect your gut. If you have slight risk or increased risk, that means when you get stressed, it will affect your digestion. Okay, because when we get stressed, our brain will send signal resulting in the release of hormones, okay, especially the adrenaline hormones. This is the hormone that is being released when we feel like we need to fight or we need to escape. That means when you get stressed up, this hormone help you to stay alert. And what the hormone does is to help you to react with stressful event, it will draw bloods away from your stomach, away from your gut to maybe your hands and feet, to the parts of the body that helps you to fight back. So when it happens, your gut get lesser blood, it will slow down your digestion. When your digestion is slowed down, you get bloating. Your metabolic rate will be slowed, you will be slowed down. So stress can affect digestion because of this, drawing blood away from your gut. You need blood circulation to help you with a lot of work, to help you to deliver oxygen, to help you to deliver nutrients. Okay, so the best way to deal with this increased risk or slight risk is to control and manage your stress. Get enough sleep, because when we do not get enough sleep, it affects our hormone regulation. It makes you eat more, because study shows that if you lack of sleep, you will have higher ghrelin, a hormone that triggers hunger. And studies show if you have poor sleep, that hormone will increase up to 20%. So it makes you eat more. And your leptin hormone that helps you to feel satiety, gives you satiety, helps you to feel full, will reduce. That's why if you sleep late, you want to eat more, because leptin hormone is low. It makes you feel unsatisfied, you want to eat. Okay, so manage your stress with exercise is also recommended. It doesn't need to be anything difficult. 15 minutes of stretch exercise, walking around the neighborhood, all these are good enough to help you to lower stress in your body. And finally, caffeine and gut health. So if you have looked into other aspects in the TrueYou report, it tells you a lot about caffeine. Will caffeine help you to focus? Will caffeine give you sensitivity, affect your physical symptom like racing heart, all these things? Will caffeine affect your sleep? Will caffeine affect your stress level? So these are different types of aspect of how you respond to caffeine. In terms of gut health, caffeine can also result in some problem to certain people. If you have increased risk, that means when you take caffeine, it may cause you gastric distress. Again, it's not something that will happen if you have increased risk, but if you do it for long enough, it may trigger the problem out. So some of the gastric distress symptoms include constipation, bloating, reflux, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and cramping. Some studies also shows when people drink coffee, the bitterness in the coffee may cause your stomach to produce more acid. So some people, they feel discomfort because of that. So if you have increased risk, reduce the consumption, okay? Or if the other test shows that you are sensitive to caffeine, probably you may want to avoid it, especially if you have higher sensitivity. That means you are at the end of that range. the most severe or the highest risk compared to 90% of the population, you have the highest risk. So maybe you need to avoid it. But if it's not that bad, maybe you want to just reduce the consumption. Okay. So yes, that is all for today. And thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you again. Bye.